You're rocking with the voice of Town View. We put our spin on trending topics and school news. Thought-provoking, insightful, we speak the truth. We do it for all ages, not just for the youth. Listen close, you might learn something. Or laugh so hard, you split your side of something. Live stream a podcast. Whenever you tune in, it's sure to be a blast. Let's be honest, you don't want to miss that. Content so real, you're going to want to run it back. We keep you entertained while making an impact. Want foreign announcements? Well, this is not that. Sports, pop, culture, political. Whatever you like, we got you covered, bro. It's a movement more than just a show. It's KSBM Radio.
Come closer to the music.
Broadcasting live from Marvin E. Robinson School of Business and Management, Dallas, Texas.
My radio station.
We are KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
Welcome back, KSBM family. This is another episode of The Locker Room. I'm JoJo, and I'm here with
AD.
So football season is in full swing, and well, it was going good for a little while.
For like
2 weeks.
And then it just went
2 weeks of
completely
pure bliss and happiness. And then we faced some random team
Y'all lost to the
named the
Cardinals.
Cardinals, which I think on like most power ranking scales, they were like at the very bottom.
Like 32 out of 32, yeah.
Yeah. So there was no inconceivable way we should have lost this game, but we did.
Lost 28 to like 13. Couldn't score any points.
I really can't even say nothing because there's no excuse we shouldn't as to why we're losing a game like that.
It's pretty hard to watch.
I mean, you know what? Let's take it back a little bit and let's start at week 1 where things are nice and happy.
Right.
And I didn't hate football.
Right. 40-0.
We won 40-0 against the Giants.
Yeah.
Which the Giants beat the Cardinals, by the way. So why? Anyways, sorry. What else happened week 1? There was a good amount of stuff.
Aaron Rodgers got hurt.
Oh, yeah. Played like, I think, not even 2 minutes, right? I think it might have been like
snap. And
yeah.
Tore his Achilles.
Tore his Achilles, and he's out for likely the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. So that really messed up the trajectory of the Jets. And, I mean, they were dangerous because did they end up winning against the Bills or they nearly beat them? Yeah, they.
Because Josh Allen threw 2 picks and fumbled the ball.
No, I think it might have been more. I think it might have been 3 picks. Yeah, he had a terrible game. It was horrible. But still, regardless, the Bills are one of the best teams in the league. So if they can hang Aaron Rodgers with the Bills,
I don't think they can. It's hard to watch. You know, you got Zach Wilson who seems to not know how to throw football anymore, even when he has one of the best wide receivers in the league, he just throw it up to and hope he catches it. And he still seems to find a way to mess up.
I mean, you can also tell that the coaching staff, they're like playing a lot more conservative with Zach Martin at the helm because not Zach Martin. Why did I just say Zach Martin? Zach Wilson. So they're like in the game against us, like obviously our defense was dogging them, but like on 3rd down or I think even most of the time 2nd down, they just run the ball even though it would be like a 2nd and 10 or 3rd and 10 just to not put in any risky situations and any situations that he's not really uncomfortable or that he's not comfortable with. Sorry. Right. So that really messed up the Jets, and then they faced our doomsday defense week 2, and then
wasn't looking like a doomsday defense this week.
Well, Trayvon did get injured, but
one player. Well, one of the best defensive backs in the league did get hurt and was a big piece of your defense.
Exactly.
So
why do you say yours like you're not from Dallas? I know you say you're not a Cowboys fan, but that's like your home team.
I got you. I mean,
you used to be a Cowboys fan.
I was a Cowboys fan for a minute, and then I left because it's depressing. Is what it is. It's depressing. What you haven't won I literally haven't been alive for more than 5 winning Dallas Cowboys seasons. Literally, I have not been alive.
You see, what had happened was, I don't know, like, It's just what's that one meme? It's worth it if you're strong enough. Like the moments when we're happy, since we have such a big fan base, we're all like, yeah, Cowboys. But
I mean, the Cowboys have one of the biggest fan bases in all of sports. Yeah,
I think we're like one of the most valuable teams in all of sports.
Y'all
isn't it?
are actually
Yeah.
the most valuable team, and then second behind y'all is like
Probably
the Lakers.
Patriots. No, I
Out of
swear.
sports teams in general, or just out of football.
I swear I had seen recently on Forbes, but I think it was a 2020 list that the Cowboys were number 1.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the Patriots were number 2. And then I think like the top
It was like
8.
NFL. It was like
I think the
NFL
top,
and NBA teams. Yeah, it was all NFL and NBA teams.
No, the Yankees I think were like
The
number
Yankees
6 or
were
something
up
like
there.
that.
The Giants were up there.
Yeah. And a lot of New York teams because that's such a big market.
Right.
But yeah, I think most of, if not all of the top 10 were NFL teams, which is crazy.
Yep.
And there's a whole bidding war for who was it? The Commanders.
It was a bidding war for the Commanders. It was a bidding war for the Broncos too.
Really? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't really know about the Broncos.
The guy,
like that.
the guy who owns Walmart bought him.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Big money. But what were we saying? How do we get onto value of teams?
We were talking about
Week 1.
the Cowboys.
Right.
Yeah.
What else happened? Let's get away from the Cowboys in week 1. I believe San Francisco had a monster game, didn't they? Against,
Yeah.
I think it was against a trash team, but still.
San Francisco is one of only 2 undefeated teams left. The
Yeah, I think
Dolphins
it's-
and them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're looking extremely dangerous. With
Most
Christian
definitely.
McCaffrey, I think that was one of the best pickups they could have ever made.
Definitely.
And they really just got lucky with Brock Purdy. Like, there was no accounting for how good he would be just coming in.
He's good, but I don't think he's great.
I wouldn't say he's great yet, but considering he was a third string, like
Right. A 7th round pick. Yeah, he's
Exactly.
definitely exceeded people's
yeah,
expectations of
he's
him.
exceeded his expectations, and I wouldn't even say propelled them into stardom, but he's definitely allowed them to perform at the level they would have with any other good quarterback. And I can't think of anybody else. Week 1, any standout
Dolphins,
games?
70 to 70
No,
to 20.
that's week 3.
that's
We're talking about
three.
week
We're
1.
talking about week
Yeah,
one.
week 1.
Week 1, there wasn't really a whole lot of standout games. A lot of the games went as the Bengals lost.
Oh yeah, the Bengals have been. Aren't they 1-2 or are they 2-1?
They're like 1 and they're 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's Joe. Oh, it's because Joe Burrow was injured, wasn't he?
was hurt, yeah.
But still, like that just
He
shows.
played the whole first game though, and then he
Yeah.
got hurt again, re-aggravated the injury, and then instead stopped.
Tough. But really, I have seen so many memes about all the players getting injured right after signing these huge contracts, and they're like, I don't really feel like playing anymore after getting paid. Like, and I'm still surprised that Joe Burrow got, I think it was the biggest contract in NFL history at the time, right?
He's
Or
the highest paid player of all time right now.
yeah, that
As of now, as we speak.
and he's not even 5 years into his career. It might be around that range. I think it might be
4 or
like
5.
3, 4, yeah,
4 or
3,
5.
4 years in.
He's like 28 now though.
Yeah, because he did spend some time in college. That's kind of interesting because in most sports, there's a lot of players that they enter like 18, like Luka.
Right.
Luka was playing against grown men at like 16?
He was like 13, 14.
Oh yeah, even younger. And football, it's just so physical, and your body doesn't really develop.
It's not really a sport. You could just go out of high school and just
Exactly.
play. Those are grown men. You can't really do that.
Yeah. Back to football. Why do we keep getting so sidetracked?
It's easy to get off topic.
Yeah, that is true. So week 2, no, I believe in week 1, didn't Tyreek Hill have like a monster 200-yard game? I think almost 300 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's if anybody, he's definitely in the MVP conversation. I was gonna say if anybody not named or not at the QB position were to win the MVP this season, it's looking like him. But another contender would be Micah. But after the game he had yesterday, it wasn't even necessarily a bad game.
He played great.
It wasn't necessarily a bad game. It's just the other games were so spectacular that it seems dull in comparison.
Right.
And especially in that kind of game where our offense is struggling, defensive back or not defensive backs. No, yeah, DBs. The DBs were struggling. They were getting burnt. You need to put pressure on the quarterback, and that's really when he needs to stand up and show that he is the most valuable player. But I don't really think he did that. He had like 1 sack, a few QB pressures,
like 1.5.
Yeah, maybe a few QB hits, but not a bad game by any stretch. But he really needed to do a bit more. But what else happened?
Not a lot of week 1.
Well, I guess let's move on to week 2. What else happened?
Week 2, what was
Off the top of my
happening?
head.
Las Vegas, they had a not so great game. They week 2, they had Josh Jacobs rush for negative 6 yards. I think that's the first. No, it's not the first time in NFL history, but it's the first time a NFL rushing champion last year, because he had 1,800 last year.
Jesus.
And then he ran a rush for negative 6. So I think it's the first time in NFL history that's ever happened. Yeah,
That's crazy because I feel like the Raiders were. It's kind of like every year they're one of those teams that they pick up a bunch of new pieces and they're hyped up to be one of these dark horses that potentially have a chance to make it all the way, especially since they picked up Jimmy Garoppolo. Didn't he just get injured too again? Or
probably did. I don't know.
I don't know. He's always
great either.
Yeah, he's always on and off. And even when he played just now, it was like whatever. But what were we talking? I'm so distracted this time. Sorry. Yeah, they're always one of the teams that are hyped up to possibly win or at least go deep in the playoffs, make something of
make
the
some
season.
type of impact, but it's kind of hard with the division they're in being so competitive.
Yeah.
Same conference, same division with the Chiefs and the Chargers, and
The Chargers have been playing pretty good too. Didn't Keenan Allen have a pretty good game recently?
Keenan Allen had a great game.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert also second highest paid quarterback in the league now.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm a Justin Herbert hater, but I really don't understand the hype behind him.
I've been a Justin Herbert fan since he was in college, man.
Really?
He was
Oh,
great.
dang. Where'd he go?
Phenomenal. He went to Oregon. Played 4 years up until he was a senior.
Didn't Oregon just whoop Colorado too?
Oh yeah,
we'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But and then I think Dalvin Cook might have rushed for negative yards against us too, if not very little, probably less than 10 yards. And that was because our defense was just clobbering them. But then in week 3, the main thing was probably the Dolphins whooping who was it?
You saw the
Broncos, right?
You saw the meme where it was like when you let your former ball boy score 50 score 70 on you.
Yeah. I didn't even know he was a ball boy back then.
They pulled up like the clips from like Hard Knocks from like years ago and was like, it's crazy how this guy just put up 70 points of offense on the former team on a team he used to be a ball boy for. It was crazy.
But I really want to know who's like he used to be a ball boy for the Broncos. Like who
Where do
thinks
you
of
find
this
these
stuff?
videos? Yeah.
And like the stats that they bring up during the game, he's like, oh, this is the first time wearing yellow socks that he scored a tiptoe touchdown or something. It'll be like the most obscure stats you'll ever think of. But then obviously my Cowboys, they didn't do too good.
Not too good.
Well, I don't. We did have a bunch of injuries on the O-line too, but I feel like really, did you watch the game?
I watched the game. I watched some of the game, and then I turned it off after a couple minutes. My dad watched the whole game. Happy.
In the beginning of the game, I feel like we were really struggling with the O-line. It was kind of
Zach Martin was out.
Yeah, the whole game we were a little bit shaky, but towards the end they got it together. But in the beginning, they were really putting it on Dak, and he just wasn't really ready to handle the pressure. We were kind of getting clamped. I won't even lie.
It's bad.
But who was it? It was Biotish, our center, Zach Martin, and Tyron Smith, right? Why did they suit up Tyron Smith? That was getting me so mad. Like, just put him out there. If you're not gonna play, don't
can't play.
suit up.
He can't play. He can't move right now. You can't. I understand the point of being suited up.
Yeah,
that's
like,
what I didn't
don't
understand.
give me that
If
hope.
you're hurt, then why do you suit up? I understand that.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, it was fine.
That's so dumb. But we did pick up Trey Lance, and after last game, Dak, he didn't step up to the plate as...
I've been telling people all the time.
Man,
bro.
I'm such a Dak fanboy. I wouldn't even say fanboy. I just love Dak.
$140 million worth of nothing is what I call that.
Dang. Oh my God.
It's horrible.
Look, I love Dak so much because he's such a good dude.
He's a good guy. You know, a lot of people are great guys, but
phenomenal
horrible.
human being.
Tim Tebow was a great guy, but he was a horrible quarterback in the NFL.
It's just, the thing that always comes to mind when we have games like last game is I wonder what we could have been if somebody else was in Dak's position, like say an Aaron Rodgers, or maybe not even that caliber of quarterback, who's like a pretty decent quarterback.
Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins. We're not gonna talk. Isn't he like leading the league in?
Hasn't had a great season so far. That's a bad example.
No, he's leading. No. I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in passing yards, isn't he?
He's in the top 5, but the Vikings haven't been doing great. And Jefferson's been mad.
He definitely has one of the most like stat padded careers of anybody. Because you look at his numbers and you would say this is a phenomenal player, but really it hasn't amounted to
He's
anything.
been in great situations his entire career.
Was he there for the Minnesota Miracle?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was the quarterback for the Minnesota Miracle,
They just didn't do anything with that. But so we keep getting sidetracked. What were we originally talking about? Oh, Dak. So I really think they should have tried out Trey Lance. You
I
saw
don't know
the
if
game.
that was the move.
You don't think so?
I mean, I like Trey Lance, but I was never the biggest Trey Lance fan, especially when they moved all the way up to the number. I didn't think he was a number 3 pick caliber player. I thought he was a good player, but I didn't think that he was the guy you bet your whole franchise on.
Yeah, still, but we got him for like a steal. Wasn't it like a 2nd round pick maybe, or it was just like one semi-late mid pick?
It's like a 4th round.
Something like that. We got him for a deal,
like
considering he's a 3rd round pick.
Like
3rd overall pick.
A situational pick, like if this and this happens, or if he like starts in a game, they get a certain pick, you know.
But I feel like why get him if you're not going to try him out? And that way, if he does perform good, it could low-key be like a Tony Romo Dak situation where you can maybe give him a few more snaps,
Dak only 32 though. Y'all already pulling the plug.
Listen, this is what I'm saying. You apply the pressure. What if it ignites a fire in him, and then he just goes crazy, has an MVP season, we win the Super Bowl? See, you just got to try it out because football. This is the amazing thing about
what if. That's a pretty massive what if.
You got to think big, man. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so you at least got to see how he performs under the bright lights in Dallas, and how he performs against another team instead of just on the practice squad, you know. And that's the thing I always keep going back to is, what if somebody else was in the position Dak was? Would we be in a different situation than we are now? Like,
I don't know, because it wasn't great on all sides of the ball on offense. But horrible O-line play, not a great running game. Mm-hmm. And obviously, since Dak didn't play great, the receivers didn't have a great game either. So it was a combination of things that contributed to that. It wasn't all Dak. Yeah, no, but I'm saying look at our previous seasons as a whole. Like, we get to the playoffs, but then we always get down to these razor-thin games. Against, like, last year, did we get bounced by San Francisco? Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like the last 3 years we've gotten bounced by them. But it's always razor-thin games for the most part. I think one year we got, like, blown out by 10 or 20 or something. But we have the chance, and we put the ball in Dak's hands in the fourth quarter. I think y'all were like the first team to have like a quarterback who did over 4,000 yards passing, and a running back do over 1,000 yards rushing, receiver have 1,000 yards, and a defensive player have over 10 sacks to not advance past the 2nd round.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine, because it's down to these moments, like these clutch moments where you need your guy to show up, and Dak hasn't really done that. He's had a few games in the regular season where he's shown up in those moments, but when it's really mattered, he just hasn't shown up for us. Right. And it sucks because he's just, like, he's a great guy to be around. No.
Okay.
I was trying to.
No, that took a turn.
No.
Why? Hold on.
But like, you really. When was the last time you heard anybody have anything negative to say about Dak?
A lot of players are good people, but
Yeah.
a lot of players are good people.
But
A
they're
lot of
not
players in
great
all
players.
sports, but not great players. But we gotta move on before the show ends. We gotta talk about the biggest trade in the NBA so far. Damian Lillard to the Bucks.
Dame Dollar. Last year, it was funny because last year, I think it was either as he requested a trade or before he requested a trade, and they got like
Miami, yeah.
Yeah, we had a show where we talked about if he's gonna. Could you ever see him leaving, or where could you see him end up? Right. And I think we were both agreeing, or at least one of us was, that he wouldn't leave because you're so deep into your career with the one team. Why would you leave now? And it's kind of crazy because for the longest he was saying he didn't want to leave and that he wanted to.
Well, they drafted his replacement basically when they drafted Anthony Simons, and then they got Shaedon Sharp, and then they have a young core for the future that they were trying to build. And he's approaching 30, and he has a massive contract, and it was time for him to leave. He did everything he could for that team, and they gave him nothing.
Yeah, I think really the only biggest help you could think of was another guard in C.J. McCollum, right?
C.J. McCollum, and then
maybe a few all right bigs. Never anything all-star
nothing
level.
Crazy. I'm trying to think. Nothing too good. But, that is what it is. I think I have Bucks for the finals now.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, my God. And considering the only major piece they gave up was what? Drew Holiday, right?
Right. They gave up Drew Holiday, and then it was a 3-team trade with the Suns as well. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a 3-team trade, the Bucks, Blazers, and the Suns. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of teams got a lot of good players.
Considering that the Bucks are such a defense-heavy team, I don't really see how this is going to impact them in a big way because they had a defensive caliber player, and previous defensive player of the year.
Right. He was the DPOY.
Giannis.
Drew was the DPOY. Yeah, definitely great.
Yo.
How's it going, Skelly?
I just had to join y'all real quick. I heard y'all was in here talking about sports.
Yeah.
So, what are we talking about?
We're talking about
the Bucks.
The Bucks trading for Dame.
Oh,
What you
man.
think about that?
I saw that 3-way trade, and I was like, that's a lot to trade away just for one player. But, I mean, I guess it's all worth it because, like, Dame is like a franchise player.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's literally who Portland has centered their entire franchise around for, like, the last, 10, however long years he's been
in the league for a minute, like 19 years.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. 19 years.
19 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
Has it really been that long?
Steph got drafted in 09. Dame is like, so since 2011, I want to say.
That's crazy.
That's
coming
more
in.
than 10. That's a
Yeah, it's like 12, 13, maybe. Well, on his 13.
It's coming to the end
It
of
was
the year.
2011. Yeah, it was 2011. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can y'all really believe that? All these great players, LeBron, Curry, Durant, they're all getting pretty old.
Yeah,
and
like-
eventually
like-
it's gonna get to the end of an era where they're all gonna start retiring.
Players that we grew up with are literally starting, like, to really retire. Like, that's
in their careers,
crazy to
yeah.
me.
I think the first super big one was like when Dirk and D Wade retired.
Yeah.
And we finally realized, it's about that time.
Yeah, all of them are
I mean,
like,
that was still kind of a while ago.
It was a little while ago, but it was the first kind
Wake
of
up
group
call.
of players that we've seen over a long period of time.
Then it was Melo.
And it was
Yeah,
Melo retired, and then
Who's
else?
the most recent one?
ooh.
I don't know about the most recent. I don't think there was any major recent. I think Melo was the most recent
probably.
Yeah,
major
probably.
retirement.
Because he just retired last year, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, you grow up with those players and then you're watching them now and then you go back and watch their old highlights and it's like, you can just tell that, like, they're tired now. Like, they're not washed, but, like, it's just they're not playing at the same intensity that they were before.
Just towards the end of their career.
I don't know, because
Except LeBron, because LeBron is like a different beast.
And Curry was he's playing still lights out.
Yeah, Curry's still playing at
334.
But it's also because his play style isn't so much dependent on his athleticism as it is his
LeBron
technique.
had to change his play style
Yeah.
over the years because he was so athletically dominant. He had to change it because he was getting injuries. He was getting hurt. He had a couple of times. He was hurt a couple times in the finals with the Cavs. He was hurt, and then he played through it. And then he said he kept landing wrong on his knee. He had to change the way he landed when he dunked. It was a lot.
And then when he first got to the Lakers, he had a few injuries.
He had some other leg injuries with his ankles and stuff like that with his foot, yeah.
Could you imagine what it would have been like if he stayed healthy and they retained all of those young players? Who did they have?
Well,
they
was never going to retain all of them because they had to trade them to get Anthony Davis in
Oh,
the first
that
place.
is true.
They lost.
That is
They
true.
lost. Kyle Kuzma's gone. Lonzo's
Oh
gone.
no, Kyle Kuzma was he a part
Kyle
of that
Kuzma
trade?
wasn't a part of that trade,
Yeah.
but they traded him.
Yeah, they traded him. They traded him to
The
who did they trade him
Wizards,
to?
right?
Wizards, yeah.
Yeah, the Wizards.
But he's an all-star level caliber player now.
Do y'all remember when he was there for a while? I can't remember if it was that same season or it might have been the next season, but everybody was like, y'all got to get Kyle Kuzma out of there. And then it was the trade deadline, and all the memes are coming out. Kyle Kuzma dodging the trade
And now he
deadline.
averages
Like,
20.
Yeah. Some, like... Oh, man, I forgot what I was going to say.
and then sticking with that same group of guys, Brandon Ingram, he had his
Brandon
breakout
Ingram was
year when he
gone.
got away
Brandon
from
Ingram was an
LeBron.
all-star big now, like consistent all-star big.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram is gone. That's crazy.
And then Lonzo Ball, he was doing great last season or the beginning of this season before he got injured, and then things just went downhill. You remember that period when the Bulls were like, they were going
Great.
crazy,
The
right?
Bulls were
Oh,
great.
yeah, they were going.
DeMar DeRozan was playing great.
DeMar.
It was Caruso, Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic. Yeah.
And then, was it just Lonzo that got injured, or was it Zach LaVine too?
No,
I think
it was Alex Caruso who got hurt.
and then Lonzo after, and then it just kind of went all downhill from there. I thought Alex Caruso was gonna stay on the Lakers because he was just like one of those
They weren't
fan
gonna
favorites.
pay
Oh,
him,
yeah,
man.
like,
They weren't gonna pay him. He's making $90 million now. Lakers weren't gonna pay him $90 million.
yeah, it was no way they was paying him that much when they had... Did they have LeBron when he was still on the team?
Yeah,
They had LeBron on the team, and they are definitely gonna pay him his money because, like, it's LeBron. Who else are you gonna pay?
And now they learned their lesson, and they're about to pay Austin. They had to pay Austin Reeves.
Speaking of paying, can y'all believe how disrespected the running backs in the NFL are getting done right
Oh
now?
man,
Like, how are you not gonna pay? Did Derrick Henry end up getting re-signed?
Derrick Henry,
Yeah, Derrick Henry got
I think-
re-signed.
Yeah, he got re-signed.
But it wasn't anything crazy, right?
No, it's okay. I
And then
understand.
Saquon too. Like, I don't know. These are some of the best players in the league, and you gonna do them dirty like that?
and then it's not even just running backs anymore because on the Cowboys you had Zach Martin who wasn't showing up to training camp because he wasn't getting paid the amount of money that he was supposed to be getting paid.
Well,
right.
that one was a bit of a tricky situation because he did like his contract at the
Zach
time.
Martin's
It
contract was not up yet. He was on the last, maybe like the last year or
Yeah, he
two
was
of
on the
it,
last
of the
year.
deal, and it was a pretty big deal.
yeah. His
But
previous contract was like it put him
he
as
was
one of the highest paid.
He was the highest paid guard in the league at the time.
Yeah,
But then that inflation hit hard, and then everybody was just
Yeah.
getting paid so much
yeah,
more.
everybody was getting paid so
and
much.
he was like, "Hey,
I
bring
think
my
just
money."
after him, I think Quentin Nelson got paid, and then somebody else got paid, and then it was like, and as you go on, you realize that your contract's not market value anymore.
And I don't think it was that they just didn't pay him enough. It was just that they took too much time to pay him, like, just close to even what he wanted. Because they waited until the end of training camp, and that's like, now you're going into the preseason, and he's not even fully prepared because he hasn't been training.
Right.
He may have been working at home, but he's still not. The chemistry with the rookies on the team is not there.
That is true, but I don't know. Like, sometimes I can see it from both sides because it's also like you signed that contract. Your money was worth it at the time, but it's also like I'm one of the best players that have come through this franchise and the entirety of the franchise. He's one of the best players we've ever seen.
Right.
Definite Hall of Famer. and he's probably still one of the best. If Micah wasn't there, probably the best player on the Cowboys.
He's one of the best players at his position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd go so far as to say he is the best.
Yeah, I think he is actually the
Might
best.
take
Cause
Quentin Nelson over him, but other than that,
I
I
can see
feel like
that,
he's
but
the best.
he is one of those guys, and you need to pay him. Like, especially if he's asking for more money, you're the Cowboys. Just shell it out.
Right,
You're gonna pay him.
And then I think and then to get back on the conversation about running backs, Cowboys kind of ruined the running back market.
Oh,
in a
yeah.
way. You paid Ezekiel Elliott $128 million, ended up releasing him at the end of his deal, and his production decreased every single year of his deal.
Yeah.
And there was Todd Gurley, who had the knee problems and had to eventually retire. So, honestly, I understand where some of the owners are coming from when it's like paying running backs over time does not make sense. But I also understand how running backs are like, I'm still one of the best players in the league, one of the best players on my team. I should get paid accordingly. So I think there needs to be a conversation on how to like better compensate running backs for their time.
I feel like also running backs are kind of one of the more inconsistent positions in
Yeah.
the league because, like, look, we were just talking about Josh Jacobs and Dalvin Cook. They're doing, like, last year, I think they both had over 1,000.
Both of them had 1,000-yard seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, and now their production has dropped tremendously. So you can't really account for how running backs are gonna, how their production is gonna stay, and if they're gonna keep their value over time. Like, say with the Joe Burrows of the world, the Mahomes of the world, they're gonna consistently be one of the best players in the league. So you're gonna pay them long term,
Right.
and that's just not something you can necessarily do with running backs.
Right.
And who was the Colts running back? I'm completely
Colts
something
running
Taylor.
back? Oh, Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan
Yeah,
Taylor.
yeah,
He was
yeah,
like one of
yeah,
the, in the
Definitely
MVP
should have been
conversation,
paid
right?
Because he had 1,800 yards his rookie season, then followed that up, and then had a 2,000-yard season, almost a 2,000-yard season. I think it was like 2,000 all-purpose. And he was in the MVP conversation because he was the only reason that they were winning games.
Yeah.
He had like 265 carries for the whole season.
Jesus Christ.
Jeez.
My God.
And I think I can kind of understand from the owners or the front office perspective, because it's like nowadays running backs are starting to be like, basically the whole league is starting to become more fragile. Like everybody's getting hurt left and right. You never know what's going to happen each game, and even in practice. Because back to the Cowboys, you got Trayvon Diggs who literally tore his ACL in practice. So I think that they're trying to be more conservative with their money and not spend all their money on this one person. And then at the beginning of the season, they're just going for the whole season, and now you just wasted money on a season that wasn't even played.
I mean, that does bring up the whole turf discussion. And that's a whole nother thing in of itself.
The turf discussion.
Because I forgot who tweeted it out, but somebody tweeted that because the World Cup is coming to America, and for all the stadiums they're gonna replace turf with grass.
They have to, because soccer is especially dangerous because soccer would have a lot of non-contact injuries.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're moving a lot more
And
with your legs. It would be horrible.
So that just shows, like, I forgot what he said exactly, but he was like, "Oh, so you're showing preference to these players who aren't even playing in these stadiums every time,
Right?
And you're not gonna take care of your own players? Like, that's messed up." And
As someone who's played on turf before, and I'm sure you've marched on turf.
Yeah.
Turf hurts.
Yeah, turf hurts. Ooh, yeah.
Turf hurts a lot.
That's just so I fell before while I was marching, and when I hit the ground, it felt like straight pavement.
There's no with grass. There's dirt.
Yeah,
and
it's
you're
like
not
soft.
hitting. And with turf, it's only concrete.
Yeah, it's
under the turf.
literally
Only concrete, and it's fake grass. And the turf doesn't get cleaned. You can't clean turf. So if someone throws up on the turf field, it's there forever.
Yeah,
There's
permanently.
nothing getting you.
And there's also the hygienic aspect of it, where not even just the throw up and that it can't get clean, but it's just straight up rubber like that. I forgot what it. I saw something where it's like something about the rubber, because it's just old tires, right, that are repurposed.
Something like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, so it just like gets stuck in the helmets and like it just sits there and it sinks into your pores and just it's nasty.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's
But that's besides the point. Players are consistently, especially now even more, they're getting injured more often. Like, I don't know if this was necessarily the cause of it, but like you're in practice, like Trayvon, and you're getting injured. Like, I don't know. But do we know exactly how he got injured?
no. I don't think they released that information yet. But then that raises the question, like, okay, so people are getting injured at practice, so let's take it to a deeper level. What's going on in practice to where these players' healths are literally at risk?
Yeah, because I feel like it's not even just football. Because during last season in the NBA, didn't Kevin Durant get injured during warmups? Like, just in a shoot around? Like, why is everybody getting injured so often?
It's because the game's gotten a lot faster over the years.
Yeah, it has. Like, it's increased. It's ramped up in a tremendous amount since I've been watching football. And I've pretty much been watching football my whole life. And that's any sport. Like, any sport, like, they've ramped up. It's only getting more and more fast. And you have those older players that are trying to catch up. And then those are usually the ones that are getting hurt more and more often.
That is true. Did y'all see the commercial of I can't remember who exactly is in it, but it was like Randy Moss, I think Emmitt Smith.
Yeah, I did see that one.
Old commercial.
They're like,
It was
hey,
like
let me suit up one more time.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Who else was it? I think some
Dan Marino was
yeah,
in there.
Dan Marino. There
Jerry
you go.
Rice was in there.
And he was trying to look at his playbook, and he was like, I can't see. He put his glasses on. Yeah, but sorry, what were you saying? That just reminded me. You were saying something about old players trying to catch up.
So, like, that's kind of what's starting to happen in, like, the whole Rodgers situation. Like, it was his first game, and they came in the season hard, and the Jets paid a lot of money for him. And then he comes in, gets 2, maybe 3 snaps off, and he's already on the field.
Right.
Like, he's already laying down on the field.
I saw some meme on TikTok.
Yeah.
I think I might have Rodgers season highlights, and it's him running out with the national flag, and then he takes a snap, and then it cuts out.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, that was quick.
I've seen so many memes. I think I might have told you on the other show, but it was they were calling him the most expensive tutor and just stuff like that. It was brutal.
Yeah, man.
Wait, we didn't even finish talking about the Oregon-Colorado game.
Oh, yeah.
we got
definitely
so
gotta get that
man.
Colorado game. We definitely got to get that in.
They were
Definitely.
they were super hyped up for because how many
I knew
games
they
was
were
it
gonna
before
lose.
that?
I knew they were going to lose. It was like 3 games before that. They were 3-0. Everybody was hyping them up. I knew they were going to lose.
Man.
There's no...
I was gonna ride that bandwagon. Like, I was going to the game. I was like, okay, Coach Prime, it's gonna be a rough one, but I believe in us.
They were facing Oregon at Oregon.
Yeah, and then
Travis Hunter.
without Travis Hunter, I felt like that was a big take to the team because that was like the literal best player on the team at the point. And then he's injured for the game against one of the highest playing opponents of the season, and so like that just takes the whole. That not only does that take the morale down, but it takes also like the playing down and it takes the intensity out because he was kind of the guy keeping the energy up.
Right. And I felt like Oregon also felt like they got disrespected. You know,
Yeah.
Oregon was a higher ranked team. Oregon was like the number 10, number 9 ranked team in the nation, and Colorado was like 19th, and they were like, and their coach has a clip that's gone viral now, and he's like, they're playing for clicks, we're playing for wins.
Yeah, and then it also adds another like I guess level of beef because the coach went out to say talk about Coach Prime's mom, and it was like, and Coach Prime was like, oh yeah, this is personal. Yeah, you don't talk about my mom,
right.
and I can feel that because like that's like a whole nother level of disrespect.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like every game Colorado's involved in, especially because they have such a microscope on them. Like any little moment goes viral. Like any quote,
Like
Coach
the Colorado
Prime
State
has.
game. The Colorado State game was a big game too.
Yeah, and like the fact that it was even that close made people were like, okay, y'all are starting to show your true colors a little bit. Y'all are starting to become
Right.
the overhyped team of team of the college football league, and it's like I'm sure because who did they play this week?
They play USC this week, which is probably going to be another.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be. It's definitely gonna be another big game.
Number 5 ranked team in the nation, best quarterback in all of college football.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be one to watch. Yeah, that's. But also another thing is, Coach Prime's son, Shadir, I think his name is. He's came into the season really.
He's getting Heisman
consideration,
which I didn't think was
Oh yeah, to watch.
I saw the Oregon players was doing it mid-game. I was like,
it's just starting to get a little outrageous.
It was 40. I mean, it was 42-0. I would start doing that too.
42-0 in the third quarter. I would start doing the same thing.
Didn't before the game started, or it might have been that.
They stepped on the logo.
Yeah, they was on the logo. They bowled with it.
I was like, okay.
Yeah,
then
it's not good.
And then the Oregon Duck with the clock and the bat, and he was hitting the bat, and I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a good one.
That duck is fun. Yeah.
And then his head fell off. I was like, oh, this is embarrassing. So now everybody knows who you are under the mask too. That's
Right, definitely. And it's definitely going to be another rough week for him because I don't think they can beat USC either.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say. It was going to be something about sticking with Colorado.
But just college football in general, Texas is coming in powerful too. Like Texas, I think I just looked at their rankings. I think they're ranked top 5 now. Along with Georgia number 1, I know USC is
Ohio
at 5.
State now because they just beat Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is gonna be an interesting year because Texas has been decent over the years, but I feel like this year they're doing better than what they were doing in previous years. And then we have Overshawn on the Cowboys, and he came from the Longhorns, and I actually got a chance to interview him right before his last season, and they were talking about the draft, and I was talking to him, and I was like, I asked him, what team would you like to play for if you got drafted in the NBA? He was like, I would definitely want to play for the Cowboys, and then he gets drafted to the Cowboys, and now it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool, like that, like the Longhorns going to the Cowboys, like that's like a step up basically. Like those, like the big brother.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. So why do y'all think that the environment in college games, it's like so much like more energetic and there's so much
team,
more
you went
hype.
to college there.
Yeah, that's
you're
your
with
school.
those people for 4 years, no matter what, unless you transfer.
Yeah.
You're with that group of guys and that group of coaches, and you're with all those people for a long time, 4 possibly even 5 years.
I mean, that's true, but I've been with the Cowboys for like however long, and the Cowboys most of the time there have been some energetic games, but it's like almost every week with college football, it's like it's just a different environment. Because
players leave, coaches leave, but in college it always it's some consistency. You're gonna be with that same group of guys, and in some very formative years of your life.
And in college, like the school you go to, that's your whole lifestyle. Like that's who you are now. Like if people ask who you are, you say what school you go to.
Right.
Sorority, fraternity.
Oh yeah, fraternities, sororities.
And just college kids are just kind of crazy too.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
They're starting to get into their prime, starting to get that little freedom, I guess.
So I think that's going to do it for this episode of The Locker Room. Yeah. We want to thank y'all for joining us. A surprise visit by Skelly over here. I'm JoJo, and I'm here with
AD.
And don't forget to follow all our socials down below, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.
See y'all later.
Goose.
Thank you for listening to KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
My radio station.
We hope you enjoyed the great content and great discussion, all from a student's perspective. Make sure to follow us on Twitter for the latest updates at KSBM_TVT or on Facebook at KSBM Radio.
Add them on Facebook.
Check them on Facebook.
Take care.